Alex stood frozen in the cold night. The alien women surrounded him, their glowing eyes filled with something he could not name. It was not hate, not anger, but a desperate hunger. And then, the tallest among them stepped forward. Her silver hair fell over her shoulders, her face strong but tired. She looked at Alex the way a drowning person looks at the last piece of wood in the ocean. "Human," she said, her voice calm but trembling. "We need you." The words echoed in his mind like thunder. He almost laughed, though his throat was too dry. Need him? What could they possibly mean? He was no soldier, no scientist, no leader. He was just Alex, a simple man with a small house and small dreams. Yet here they were, looking at him as if he was the key to their survival. The tall alien woman raised her hand. A device glowed in her palm, projecting an image in the air. Alex gasped. It was a field of alien women, thousands of them, but their bodies were weak, their faces pale, their eyes empty of hope. Many were young, some even children. They looked like flowers that had lost the sun. The image flickered, and Alex felt a weight on his chest. "Our daughters cannot be born," the woman whispered. "Our wombs are empty. Our blood is broken. Our future has ended." Her eyes burned into his. "But you, humans, carry what we have lost." Alex felt his heart slam against his ribs. It was too strange, too impossible. "What are you saying?" he managed to whisper, his voice shaking. The alien woman stepped closer. She looked into his eyes and spoke words that froze him in place. "You are breeding material." For a moment, Alex thought he had misheard. The words made no sense. They felt unreal. But the woman's face was deadly serious. Around her, the others lowered their heads, their silver hair glowing in the moonlight. It was not a threat, not a joke. It was a desperate truth. Alex stumbled back, his hands shaking. "You can't be serious," he muttered. He wanted to run, to laugh, to scream, but none of those things came. The air around him felt heavy, as if the entire night was pressing down on him. The woman did not move closer, but her voice grew sharper. "Our species is dying, and only you can save us." "Why me?" Alex shouted suddenly, fear breaking through his silence. "There are billions of humans on Earth. Why me?" The alien woman's face softened. "Because you were the first we found, and because you are compatible." Her words stabbed him deeper than any blade. Compatible, like he was not a person, but a tool, a resource, a thing. He felt anger rise inside him. "You can't just take me. I'm not some animal for breeding," he snapped, his voice cracking. For the first time, the alien woman lowered her head. Her strong voice broke into something soft, almost pleading. "We do not wish to harm you, Alex, but without you, without humans, our kind will vanish." Her silver eyes glistened, not with power, but with sorrow. Alex looked around at the alien women surrounding him. Their faces were filled with fear, pain, and hope. They did not look like conquerors. They looked like people who had already lost everything. And still, he could not escape the feeling that he had become a prisoner, trapped by their need, trapped by their eyes, trapped by their words. The tall woman stepped closer again, her voice steady now, though her eyes still trembled. "You do not understand now, but you will. You have a choice, Alex. Help us willingly, or we will have no choice but to take what we need." Alex's throat went dry. In that single moment, his world turned upside down. He was no longer just a man. He was a resource, a treasure, a weapon. And his life, his freedom, his humanity, now balanced on the edge of an alien request, the night that had begun with Shassin. Silence now echoed with the most shocking truth Alex had ever heard. He was not just Alex anymore. He was the last hope of an entire alien race. Alex lived a quiet life on the edge of the city. He was an ordinary man, with an ordinary house and ordinary dreams. But one night, his ordinary life ended forever. The night began with silence. The air outside was still, the sky was dark, and the streets were empty. Alex sat at his small desk, reading a book, when the ground suddenly shook. It was not like an earthquake. It was something different, something heavy falling from the sky. He rushed to the window, his heart beating faster. Above his house, he saw strange lights in the sky. Not the soft glow of airplanes, not the twinkle of stars. These were sharp, burning, and moving in ways no human machine could. They cut across the night like claws of fire, and then stopped all at once. The silence after was even louder than the sound itself. Alex stepped outside, his hands trembling. The lights were no longer high above. They were descending, slow, careful, as if searching for something, and then he saw them. Ships, not of this earth, long, black, and glowing with strange blue lines. They hovered just above the ground, silent and terrifying. For a moment, Alex thought he was dreaming, but the cold air on his face told him it was real. His first thought was simple. They are here to invade. He imagined soldiers pouring out of the ships, weapons raised, but what came next shocked him more than any nightmare could. The ships opened with a hiss, and from the glowing doors stepped tall figures. They were women, but not like human women. Their skin shimmered with silver tones, their eyes glowed softly like moons. Their movements were graceful, almost fragile, as if they carried heavy sadness. They did not hold weapons, they did not shout. Instead, they looked around with desperate eyes, as if searching for hope. Alex backed away, his chest tight with fear. One of the alien women saw him, her eyes locked onto his, and in that instant, Alex felt a chill run through his bones, not because of hate, not because of threat, but because of need. It was as if she had found something she had been looking for. She stepped forward slowly, raising her hand. Her voice was soft, shaking, but the words were clear enough. "You, human," she whispered. "You are what we came for." Alex's mind spun in panic. He wanted to run, but his legs were frozen. Why him? Why his house? Why did she speak as if he was important? The alien woman's face twisted with pain and urgency. Behind her, more of them stepped out, their faces pale and anxious. They looked at him not with anger, but with hope. Hope so sharp, it cut deeper than fear. "Please," the woman said again, her silver eyes shining in the dark. "Our world is dying. Our daughters are fading. Our future is broken." Her words hit Alex like thunder. He had expected threats, demands, or violence. Instead, he was given something far more dangerous. A plea. They had not come to conquer. They had come to beg. Alex's breath came fast and heavy. He did not know what to say. The world he had always known, safe, simple, ordinary, was gone. He was no longer just a man standing in front of his home. He was something else now, something he did not yet understand. As the alien women surrounded him, their eyes filled with desperation, Alex realized one truth that shook him to his core. They were not here for Earth, they were here for him. And in that moment, the quiet night turned into the beginning of the strangest and most dangerous discovery of his life. The cold night grew heavier around Alex. The tall alien woman gave a signal with her hand. From the dark ships behind her, more figures stepped out. Dozens of alien women surrounded him, their silver eyes glowing in the shadows. They did not touch him, but their presence pressed down on him like an invisible weight. One of them spoke softly. "The council must decide." The words sent a shiver through Alex's chest. Council. He imagined a group of leaders, powerful and ancient. If what he had heard already was true, then whatever this council decided could seal his fate. The tall woman raised her hand again, and Alex was led toward the largest ship. The entrance glowed like liquid light, and the walls seemed alive, shifting with every step. Alex's heart pounded as he was guided inside. The air smelled sharp and strange, like metal mixed with burning air. He thought of running, but alien guards with glowing eyes stood at every turn. His choices had already been stolen. The chamber they entered was vast. A circle of tall alien women stood at its center, dressed in robes that shimmered like starlight. They were the council. Their faces were sharp, their eyes cold but heavy with sadness. The tall woman bowed her head, speaking in a language Alex could not understand. The room echoed with sounds like music and thunder mixed together. Then, one of the robed figures turned to him, speaking words he could understand. "Human," she said, her voice heavy and sharp. "You are the proof, the first key, the one we have waited for." Her words struck him like stone. He wanted to shout that he was not a key, not a tool, not something to be used, but his voice was trapped in his chest. The council began to speak among themselves, their voices rising and falling like waves. Alex caught fragments, words like future, survival, bond, and risk. He realized something chilling, not dumb. All of them agreed. One of the council members turned toward him sharply. Her eyes glowed like fire as she hissed, "Why waste time begging? He is only human. Take him, take his kind. Their planet is full of them. Our survival must come before their freedom." Her words stabbed Alex deeper than any knife. He saw in her eyes the cold truth. To some of them, he was nothing but a resource. Another council member spoke, her voice softer, but strong. "No. If we treat them as cattle, They will fight us. This human is different. He shows fear, but also courage. We must earn their help, not steal it. The chamber grew heavy with argument. Voices clashed, some calling for peace, others calling for conquest. Alex stood in the center, his fists clenched, his chest tight. He had never been so powerless, yet so important. The future of two species seemed to balance on the choice of these alien women. Finally, the tallest of the council raised her hand. The voices fell silent, her eyes fixed on Alex, and she spoke with a voice that shook the chamber. We will not decide with war, not yet. This human will stay among us. We will test him. If he proves worthy, he will save us. If not, we will take what is needed by force. Alex's heart dropped. He was no longer free, no longer just a man from Earth. He had become the property of a council that saw him as the line between life and extinction. Some faces in the chamber looked at him with hope, others with hunger. He felt like an animal standing before hunters and farmers at the same time. The tall alien woman who had first spoken to him stepped closer, her eyes softer now, though still carrying the same desperation. Do not fear, Alex. You are not alone. You are the beginning of a new chapter for both our kinds. But Alex did fear, because in that single moment he understood something terrible. The council had spoken, and their decision was clear. His life was no longer his own, and the real test had only just begun. The ship carried Alex deeper into alien space. He had no idea how far from Earth he was. Every hour felt longer, heavier, as if time itself was punishing him. The council had spoken, and now his fate was sealed. He would be tested. Alex was taken to a chamber unlike anything he had ever seen. The walls were alive, glowing with pulses of blue and silver light. Strange machines floated in the air, humming softly. The floor shifted beneath his feet, smooth and warm like living skin. It was not a room built by human hands. It felt more like the inside of a creature. Two alien women guided him to the center. They did not speak, but their eyes told him everything. They were afraid too. A platform rose slowly from the floor, glowing with pale white light. The tall alien woman who had first spoken to him appeared once more. This is the chamber of truth, she said quietly. We will see if you truly carry what we need. Alex's mouth went dry. I told you already, I'm just a man, he muttered. But the woman shook her head. No human is just a man anymore, not when our survival rests on you. Before Alex could respond, the machines around him came alive. Blue strands of energy wrapped around his arms and chest. They did not burn, but they held him tight. A soft glow covered his body, scanning him from head to toe. He could see his reflection in the curved wall. A frightened man trapped in alien light. The chamber filled with strange sounds, whispers like voices, but not human voices. Data flowed in streams of light, symbols flashing across the air. The council members stood above him on a raised platform, watching like judges in a trial. Alex felt exposed, like every secret of his body was being stolen. One of the machines pierced the air with a sharp beam. It touched his arm, and pain shot through his nerves. He gritted his teeth, his fists clenching. The aliens watched Sitsi, loosely whispering to one another. He endures. His cells respond, one of them murmured. Another's eyes widened. The bond is possible. Alex's chest tightened. They were not only studying him, they were celebrating. Every result made them more certain that he was what they wanted. His fear turned to anger. He was not an experiment, he was a person. Yet here he was, treated like a specimen in a cage. The test grew harsher. Machines sent pulses of energy through his body, at first warm, then burning. Alex fell to his knees, sweat pouring down his face. He thought his bones would break under the pressure, but still, he did not scream. The council watched with cold eyes. Some of them were pleased, others only nodded. But one figure in the shadows leaned forward with interest. Her eyes gleamed with something sharper than hope. Hunger. Alex could feel it, the way a hunter watches prey. Finally, the chamber dimmed. The machines pulled away, the light fading from his skin. Alex collapsed onto the platform, gasping for air. The tall woman stepped forward, her face unreadable. She looked down at him as though he was no longer a stranger, but something far more dangerous and far more valuable. He is compatible, she announced to the council. The words echoed across the chamber. Some nodded with relief, others with greed. Alex's stomach twisted. He was no longer just Alex. He had become proof, evidence, the answer to their dying race. As the council murmured and planned, Alex pushed himself weakly to his feet. His body trembled, but his mind was burning. He realized something terrible in that moment. The test had not been about choice. It had been about ownership. They wanted to know if he was useful, and now that they knew the answer, there would be no going back. The tall alien woman's eyes softened for a moment, but her words chilled him all the same. You are strong. Alex, stronger than most of your kind. You will help us, whether you wish to or not. Alex's breath caught in his throat. The test was over, but his nightmare had only just begun. Alex sat in the dim chamber, his body still aching from the test. The machines had burned his strength, drained his energy, but the worst wound was not on his body. It was inside him, deep in his chest. The council had confirmed it. He was compatible. To them, that word meant only one thing. He was no longer a man, he was a resource. The tall alien woman stood before him, her face calm, but heavy with something close to sorrow. You have seen the truth, she said quietly. You know our people are dying, our daughters fading, our wombs empty. Her eyes searched his, desperate and pleading. You are our only chance, Alex. Alex clenched his fists, his voice trembling as anger boiled inside him. I never asked for this. I never agreed to this. I am not some tool for your survival. His words echoed through the chamber, but none of the council moved. They only watched him, cold and silent. The tall woman finally stepped closer, her voice sharper. You have a choice, but it is a narrow one. Alex's heart pounded as she spoke. If you help us willingly, you will be honored, protected, and remembered. You will save not only lives, but an entire race. Her voice softened. But if you refuse, we will have no choice but to take what is needed. The words hit him like a blade. So that was the truth. It was no request. It was no plea. It was a demand hidden under soft words, freedom or chains. But either way, they would have their answer. Alex felt the walls closing in. He thought of Earth, his home, his people. Did the aliens plan to take more humans? Were others already captured? The thought twisted his stomach. If he gave in, he would betray his kind. If he resisted, he might doom an entire species. He looked at the council, their faces watching him like hunters watching prey. Some eyes burned with hunger, others with sorrow. One whispered, he must agree. He must see our pain. Another muttered coldly, and if he does not, he will learn what fear is. Alex's breath came fast and sharp. He wanted to shout, to fight, but his body was still weak from the test. Every muscle screamed when he moved. They had broken him down carefully, stripping away his strength, and now they stood waiting for his answer, like gods deciding the fate of a mortal. Finally, he lifted his head, his voice hoarse but steady. You call this a choice, but it isn't. The tall woman tilted her head slightly, her eyes softening. You are right, she admitted, but we hope you will see the value in mercy. We do not want to make you our prisoner. We want to make you our savior. Alex's chest tightened at her words. Savior. The word carried a weight heavier than chains. If he agreed, he would no longer belong to himself. Every moment of his life would belong to them. If he refused, they would strip away what little freedom he had left anyway. The chamber fell silent, the council waiting. Every heartbeat sounded louder than the last. Alex closed his eyes for a moment. He saw Earth, his quiet house, the stars above his world. And then he saw the pale faces of the alien women, their eyes hollow, their bodies weak. He felt trapped between two worlds, torn between mercy and survival. The tall woman stepped closer, lowering her voice so only he could hear. Alex, I will protect you as much as I can, but you must understand, if you refuse, there are others who will not be so kind. Her words chilled him more than any machine had. When Alex finally opened his eyes, the choice was no clearer. But one thing was certain. No matter what he said, his life as a free man was over. The council had given him a choice he could never refuse. And in that dark chamber, Alex realized he had stepped into a war between survival and freedom, a war where he was the prize. Alex was led through the long halls of the alien ship. The walls glowed with soft blue light, pulsing like a heartbeat. He felt small inside the vast corridors, a single human surrounded by an empire that was dying yet still powerful. Every step reminded him that he was no longer free. Two alien guards walked beside him, tall and silent, their faces expressionless. They carried no weapons, but Alex knew he could not escape them. The memory of the council's words burned in his mind. He had been chosen to be more than a man, chosen to be their solution. Finally, the guard stopped before a large door. It opened with a hiss, spilling silver light across the floor. Inside, Alex saw a small chamber, warm and quiet, and there, standing nervously in the middle, was the first alien girl. She was not like the council members, not tall and commanding. She was younger, smaller, her silver skin pale and fragile, her glowing eyes flickered with both fear and hope. She looked more like a lost soul than a warrior. When she saw Alex, her lips parted as if she wanted to speak but could not. The guard stepped back, leaving Alex and the girl alone. For a moment, silence filled the chamber, heavy and sharp. Alex swallowed hard, his chest tight. This was the moment the council had prepared him for, the beginning of the role he had never wanted. The girl finally whispered, her voice soft as trembling wind. "You are the human." Her words were shaky, but her eyes held something desperate. Alex nodded slowly, though his voice refused to answer at first. "Yes," he said finally, his tone rough. "I'm the human." The girl lowered her head, her silver hair falling over her face. "I was told you are our last hope," she said, her voice cracked, carrying both shame and sorrow. "My people cannot give life anymore. We are empty inside. Without you, we will fade into nothing." Alex Fichet felt a wave of emotions crash over him. He wanted to be angry, to shout that he was no tool, but as he looked at her trembling hands and fragile body, the words died on his tongue. She did not look like a conqueror. She looked like someone who had already lost too much. "You don't understand," Alex said, his voice low. "I never agreed to this. I never wanted this." The girl raised her head, her glowing eyes wet with unshed tears. "I know," she whispered, "but I have no choice. If you walk away, I will never have a family, never feel the warmth of holding my own child. I will die alone." Her words cut into him deeper than the council's threats. This was not just about science, not just about survival. This was about something painfully human, the desire to live, to love, to create. The girl took a hesitant step closer, her hands trembling. "I don't want you as a prisoner," she whispered. "I want you as hope." Alex's chest tightened, his anger fighting against the pity rising inside him. He remembered the cold council members who had spoken of him like property, but this girl was different. She did not see him as a tool. She saw him as a chance, a fragile chance, but a chance nonetheless. He turned away for a moment, pressing his hands against the smooth wall. He wanted to scream, to break free, but when he looked back at her, standing so small and afraid, his voice softened instead. "What is your name?" he asked. The girl blinked in surprise, then whispered, "Lyra." Her voice carried both relief and sadness. Alex nodded slowly. "Lyra," he repeated, the name strange yet gentle on his tongue. It was the first time he had spoken to one of them, as if they were more than strangers. The chamber grew quiet again, but not heavy this time. It was fragile, like the first step across thin ice. Alex knew the council wanted to see this as the beginning of their experiment, but in his heart he felt something different. This was not just a test of his body, this was a test of his humanity. And as Lyra's glowing eyes searched his face, Alex realized the truth. He could not hate her, because she was not the one who had stolen his freedom. She was just another prisoner of fate, just like him. The days on the alien ship passed slowly for Alex. He was never left alone, always watched, always guarded, sometimes by silent alien soldiers, sometimes by the council's eyes. But more often, it was Lyra who stayed near him. She spoke softly, asked questions about Earth, and listened with wonder when he told her about oceans, rain, and laughter. Yet even as he grew closer to her, Alex could not forget the truth. He was still a prisoner, a man forced into a role he had never chosen. And somewhere deep inside, he knew there was more the council was hiding. One night, while the ship drifted through the endless dark of space, Alex heard voices beyond the walls of his chamber. Curious, he pressed his ear to the glowing surface. The walls were alive, carrying sounds like whispers through water. At first he could not understand, but then the voices grew clear. "They are fools to treat him with respect," one voice hissed, cold and sharp. "He is human, nothing more. His kind are weak, easily controlled." Another voice replied, lower but filled with hunger. "Do not forget what the council said. If one human is compatible, then many are. We need only bring more from their world. Soon, Earth itself will become our breeding ground." Alex froze, his heart slamming against his ribs. His breath came fast as he pressed harder against the wall. The voices continued, their words chilling his blood. The Council's kindness is weakness. We cannot beg, we must take. Their planet is rich with bodies, with men. We will not ask, we will claim. Alex staggered back from the wall, his legs trembling, his mind spun with fear and rage. So this was the hidden truth. Not all of the aliens wanted peace. Not all wanted cooperation. Some wanted conquest. Some wanted Earth enslaved. He sat on the edge of his bed, his fists clenched. The Council had promised him a choice, but it was a lie. Even if he agreed, others were already planning to take everything from humanity. And worst of all, he could do nothing. He was one man trapped in the middle of a war he never asked for. Moments later, the door opened with a hiss. Lyra stepped inside, carrying a tray of strange glowing fruit. She smiled gently, but her smile faded when she saw his face. "Alex, what's wrong?" she asked softly. Her voice was filled with concern, but Alex looked at her differently now, suspicion clouding his eyes. "Tell me the truth, Lyra," he said, his voice low and sharp. "Are all of you really desperate for help, or are some of you planning to take my people by force?" Lyra's eyes widened, the tray trembling in her hands. She lowered it quickly and stepped closer, her silver hair falling across her face. "Alex, where did you hear that?" she whispered, her voice cracking. "I heard them," he snapped. "Talking outside, planning to take Earth, planning to use my people like cattle." Lyra's shoulders shook as she lowered her head. Tears glistened in her glowing eyes. "It's true," she admitted, her voice barely a whisper. "Not all of us agree. The Council is divided. Some believe in peace, others believe in conquest. If they find more humans, they will not ask, they will take." Alex felt the world collapse inside him. Every moment since the ships had landed, he had feared for himself. But now, he realized the danger was much greater. It was not just about him. It was about Earth. Billions of lives, billions of futures, all under threat. Lyra reached out, her hand trembling as it touched his arm. "I swear, I am not like them. I don't want to see your people hurt. I only want a future, a family. I only want hope." Alex looked at her, torn between anger and pity. Her eyes begged him to believe, yet the voices he had heard echoed like poison in his mind. The truth was clear now. He was not only a prisoner, he was the center of a silent war among the aliens, and whichever side won, Earth would never be the same. The days after Alex discovered the hidden truth were heavy with silence. He walked the halls of the alien ship knowing that every step was watched, every word was measured. He carried the secret like a stone in his chest, that some of the aliens planned to enslave Earth. But he could not speak it aloud, not to the Council, not to the guards. Only one person knew what he had heard. Lyra. She visited him often, bringing food, asking questions, and sitting with him when the silence grew too heavy. Her glowing eyes always softened when they rested on him. At first, Alex told himself to stay distant, to remember she was still one of them, but the more time he spent with her, the harder it became. Lyra did not treat him as a resource or a prisoner. She treated him like a person, and that made her dangerous, not to his body, but to his heart. One night, Alex found himself standing near the wide viewing window of the ship. Beyond the glass stretched endless space, a sea of stars glittering like diamonds on black velvet. He felt both small and lost, a man stolen from his home, forced into a fate he never wanted. Soft footsteps approached behind him, and he knew it was Lyra before he turned. "You look sad," she whispered, standing beside him, her silver skin glowing faintly under the starlight. "I'm more than sad," Alex said, his voice heavy. "I'm angry, I'm trapped, and I don't know what's waiting for me." Lyra lowered her head, her long hair sliding forward. "I know," she whispered. "And I hate it. I hate that my people have turned you into this. I hate that they call you a tool when I see more than that." Her words startled him. He turned to her, searching her face. "What do you see, Lyra?" he asked, his voice sharp but softening. She looked at him then, her eyes shining like two moons. "I see a man who still has kindness, even when the world has been cruel to him. I see strength, not in your body, but in your heart. I see hope, even when you try to hide it." Alex felt something inside him crack. He had told himself again and again to resist, to stay strong, to never trust them. But Lyra's words cut deeper than any threat from the Council, because they were not lies, they were the truth of how she saw him. For a moment, the ship was silent, only the hum of alien engines filling the air. Then, without thinking, Alex reached for her hand. Her fingers were warm, trembling as they closed gently around his. Lyra gasped softly, as if the simple touch was forbidden. And in truth, it was. If the council saw them like this, Alex knew they would see weakness. They would call it betrayal. They would call it danger. Because this was not just survival, this was connection. Something deeper than science or breeding, something they would never allow. "Why are you doing this?" Alex whispered. "You know what your people want. You know what they plan. Why stand here with me?" Lyra's voice broke as she answered, "Because I don't want to be part of their cruelty. Because I want more than survival, Alex. I want to feel alive. And you make me feel alive." His chest tightened, his mind fighting his heart. Every warning screamed at him to pull away, to remember the danger, but his hand stayed in hers. For the first time since the ships appeared, Alex felt something other than fear. He felt warmth. The bond between them was fragile, dangerous, forbidden, yet it was real. And as they stood hand in hand, watching the stars beyond the glass, Alex knew one truth. If the council discovered this, it would not only be his life at risk, it would be hers too. The bond between Alex and Lyra had grown in secret. Every stolen moment, every quiet word, every hidden glance tied them closer together. They knew the council would never approve, but their hearts did not listen to rules. To Alex, Lyra was no longer an alien. She was a person, fragile, kind, and brave. To Lyra, Alex was not just breeding material. He was a man who gave her hope. But hope is fragile, and in the halls of power, even whispers can become weapons. One evening, Alex sat in his chamber, waiting for Lyra. She had promised to return after the council's meeting, but the hours stretched long. The silence grew heavy, his chest tight with worry. And then the door hissed open, but it was not Lyra who entered. It was 3 alien guards, tall, cold, their silver eyes glowing with suspicion. "You will come with us," one said, his voice sharp like steel. Alex stood slowly, fear rising in his throat. "Where is Lyra?" he demanded, but they did not answer. The guards grabbed his arms, pulling him through the halls. He struggled, but their grip was like iron. They dragged him into a wide chamber lit by burning white light. At the far side of the room stood a figure Alex recognized, one of the council members who had spoken against him before. Her name was Sareth, a woman with fire in her eyes and cruelty in her smile. She stepped forward, her voice dripping with venom. "Human you thought we would not see. You thought you could hide your weakness, your betrayal." Alex's chest tightened, his heart pounding. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said, but his voice shook. Sareth's smile widened, sharp as a blade. "Do not lie. We saw you with her. We saw the touch, the softness, the bond. You dare to pollute our future with emotion." The words hit Alex like a strike. They had seen him and Lyra. The forbidden bond was no longer secret. Fear twisted into anger as he shouted, "She is not your slave. She is not your tool. She is more than that, and so am I." The chamber erupted with laughter from Sareth's followers. "You are nothing," Sareth hissed, stepping closer. "You are a resource, a piece of flesh, and now you are dangerous because you have poisoned one of our own with your human weakness." The guards shoved Alex to his knees. Pain shot through his body, but he forced himself to raise his head. "Call it weakness if you want," he spat. "But the truth is, you're afraid. Afraid that we're more alike than you want to admit. Afraid that love can break your control." Sareth's face twisted with rage, her glowing eyes burning. She raised her hand, a blade of pure energy forming in her grip. "For your arrogance, human, you will die tonight," she hissed. The guards tightened their hold, ready to finish it, but before the blade could fall, the doors burst open. Lyra rushed in, her face pale, her eyes wide with terror. "Stop!" she cried, throwing herself between Alex and Sareth. "Do not touch him. He is mine." The chamber fell silent, the words echoing like thunder. Lyra's chest rose and fell with fear, but her voice stayed strong. "If you kill him, you kill me too, because I will not let him be taken." Sareth's eyes narrowed, her blade flickering. "You would betray your counsel for this creature?" she asked coldly. Lyra's lips trembled, but she did not look away. "I would," she whispered, her voice breaking but firm. Alex stared at her, his heart pounding with both fear and awe. She had thrown herself into the fire for him, risking everything, and in that moment he understood the truth. This was no longer just survival, this was war, and their love had just become the spark that would set it ablaze.